And here we are, we're all caught up. This is the 2019 film retrospective. I am not a huge fan of doing this video right now. It's mid-December and these are the movies I haven't seen yet. Nonetheless, here are my top movies of the year right there. I'm too lazy to memorize them. But as you can tell, it's a little bit shorter than the last couple years. Not super impressed with this year all that much. And maybe between all those movies that I've missed, I will find something that I like a lot more. My favorite bad movie for this year is Glass, and I can't see this movie being topped by anything else that I have not seen yet. This movie is kind of the epitome of good bad movies, that it is made by a once very well respected, very talented filmmaker who still can prove that he can make good movies, because Split is pretty decent. There are a lot of people that really like the film before that I'm blanking on the title, the one about the scary old people that I hated, but whatever. His early movies are so good. I love Unbreakable, so I was so looking forward to Glass. And there are parts about it that I like. I think Sam Jackson, it's very, very difficult for him to turn in a bad performance. And I think that a lot of people talk about Bruce Willis being very lethargic in this movie, but I think it kind of fits the role that he's playing. It's definitely not a great performance, but it is more interesting than a lot of the stuff he's done recently. And, obviously, even though it's a very corny, scene-chewing performance, James McAvoy is still awesome in it. And I do like kind of the weirdness of this movie. I don't think it's as smart as M. Night thinks it is, but it's still a pretty smart movie, I think. I think there's a lot to like about it, and it is, but also there's a lot that's super dumb about this movie. And any given scene can go back and forth between a movie that I think is actually quite good and a movie that is absolute garbage. My overlooked recommendation is The Missing Link. Again, we're going with stop motion, and we're going with the company that is really defining what stop motion looks like right now with multiple of their films. Leica. Missing Link is a movie that I thought looked terrible and was not looking forward to, even though I love all their previous films. But this one is really, really something special. I think everyone should check out. It's so likable. It's so fun. You got Zach Galifianakis playing Bigfoot, and you got Hugh Jackman playing a monster hunter, but not to kill them, but because he loves them and he wants to prove that these creatures exist, and they have such a fun relationship. This is the craziest buddy travel movie. That's one of my favorite genres, buddy travel movies, and this movie freaking nails that, and it's so funny and so likable, and I highly recommend it. This is actually my second favorite movie of the year, and it bombed at the theaters. No one saw it because it was not advertised well, and I don't blame you for not seeing it. I did not see it in theaters, but my younger brother recommended it to me, and I can see why he loves it, and I love it now too, and I think it's a movie that you just gotta check out. The whole family can watch it, which is so rare. And actually, I would say the same thing about my favorite movie of the year, which is Toy Story 4. What a crazy movie to finish out a crazy decade. 2010 started out the decade, Toy Story 3 seemingly being the last of the Toy Story movies, but here we are in 2019 with Toy Story 4 being my favorite movie of the year. At least it is right now, and I love Toy Story. And so we're going to talk about film, a huge decade for me in film when I really got into it. It's awesome to end it with a follow-up to one of my favorite movies, Toy Story 4. It came out the year that I was born, and I've just grown up with it, and I've continued to love it. Even as I got older, I've gotten more and more respect for it, and obviously the animation has not aged perfectly, but it was the first of its kind, and it still holds up for it being that first of its kind. Toy Story 4 looks incredible. The animation is so insane because I'm not a huge fan of Pixar's approach to people, but if you kind of looked at these as toys are real. Toys are a real thing. It doesn't matter what they look like, it's how they're executed, and the textures, and the way they interact with the world around them makes these characters feel so real, but they can get away with making them look however they want because they're toys. And I know that a lot of people kind of went into this film and still haven't seen it because they assume that it's just kind of a soulless cash grab. But that's kind of the great thing about Toy Story is I don't think the producers care as much about the story because it's already going to sell toys, because the characters themselves are already toys. So they just kind of let this creative team do whatever they want because there's so much writing on this movie, because so many people care about it. And this is an insanely good story. It's very small compared to Toy Story 4 by Toy Story 3, but I think that's why I like it. I think that it does a lot of interesting stuff with Woody. I wish it did more with Buzz. And it's really unfortunate that he's kind of got put in the back burner since 2. but nonetheless, Woody, awesome character development, Bo Peep, awesome character development, and a surprisingly good villain. I love villains that end up not being villains in the end, that they end up being redeemed, where you kind of understand where they're coming from. She's not really, she's aggressive, and she has some questionable means, but in the end of the movie, they end up becoming friends, and it just makes my heart so happy. It's a wonderful, enjoyable film that, in Forky, I haven't even talked about Forky. Forky cracks me up. I am dying laughing when I watch this movie because Forky is such a hilarious character. Tony Hale, again, I mentioned earlier that I loved Arrested Development, and he is so awesome in this, and I cry laughing from his parts, and I just cry because it's such a touching movie, honestly. I don't know if I can defend this movie as a 100% perfect, great film, but I am so emotionally attached to it at this point that I will 100% hold it up as the best movie of this year, at least my favorite movie of this year, and one of the best of the decade, and a good one to close out this retrospective. Thank you so much for going on this journey with me. This has been so much fun to talk about. This movie's means so much to me, and it's been fun to kind of reflect back on my life from this decade and how my movie opinions kind of reflect what went on with my life. And so if you have any questions, concerns, opinions, you want to yell at me, shout at me, share with me, cry with me, come find me at Twitter at Cameron_Flat, F-L-A-T-T. Love to talk to you guys, or shoot something down in the YouTube comments. And you know what? I'll see you guys in the next decade. But okay, I'm just rambling. And this is, I don't like doing these kind of videos in 2019. Gosh dang it. Okay, let's try that again. 2019. Okay.